Okay, so for your supplies, you're going to need a plastic plate, something with a big enough surface that you can use your brayer to roll back and forth. Okay, this could even be a piece of a plate, some sort of a plate, so that way your ink does not soak into the plate. So do not use a piece of cardboard, do not use a piece of paper plate. It needs to have like a glass coating. Okay, you need your brayer. This also could be a brayer that you might have. A foam roller is fine. You need your styrofoam plate. Yours the first time will be all white. Mine's black because I've already used it once. You need your clean sheet of 9 by 12 printing paper. One at a time. I have 3 ready, but I'm going to keep the other ones clean next to me. I also have a piece of construction paper, a piece of newspaper, something on top of my desk because I will be getting this area messy. The first step is to take your plate. Actually, the first step is to take your paper on a very clean surface. We don't want any marks on this at all. Keep your hands clean, keep your work area clean. I'm going to go ahead and write my name and a 1 on the back because this is my first print. Every time you start, name and the number. This is number 1 because it's my first print. So the next one I'll do, I'll put my name and a number 2. Right now, I'm going to flip this piece of paper over and I'm going to set it to the side. Grab your house plate and your brayer. Keep it on your paper, and I'm going to grab a little bit of ink. You can see that. I've grabbed a little bit of ink, just like that, and I'm going to roll the ink back and forth onto my plate to get an even coating on my brayer. If the brayer has an even coating, then it will roll evenly onto my house plate. Okay, you do this a few times. Notice I'm not grabbing all of the ink. I'm just grabbing a little bit as I need at a time. I'm going to set my plate aside. Notice my hands are very clean. I'm going to set my plate aside and I'm going to roll my ink on my brayer, on my plate. Now you're noticing mine is coming up. It's because I've used my plate before. This might happen the second time you do your print. So I'm just going to grab more ink like I showed you. And I'm going to keep rolling. You must have an even amount of ink on your plate. If you do not have an even amount on your plate, then your print will not be even, and that is part of your grade. This is why we have paper underneath, because you're going to get it all over the place. I'm trying very hard to keep my fingers out of it. However, I already have my 2 fingers are messy. So I'm trying really hard just to hold it down a little bit. Now, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you'll be able to tell in real life that you have an even sheen. Okay, it's kind of shiny with the ink evenly. You do want to go a little quickly because it does dry fast onto the plate. I'm setting my brayer on the plate. That way I'm not setting it here. I'm setting the brayer on the plate out of the way. I'm going to try to keep my these 2 fingers away from my white paper. I'm going to grab my printing paper. My name has already been written on the back with my first print. I'm going to grab my house plate very carefully on the edges only, and I'm going to do my best to turn it over and not touch the paper with my messy hands. I'm going to center my plate as best as I can and make it perfectly straight, and I'm going to lay it down. Okay, my hands are very messy, so I'm going to kind of very gently rub the back of my plate. I'm going to pick up my paper, flip it over. Now I can rub on the back of this, and if I get a little ink on the back, not a big deal. Do not want it on the front. You guys are going to be getting graded on that, so we got to keep this as clean as possible. And as I am printmaking, I am recognizing all the steps that I'm doing because I want to have a good consistency in my prints. So I'm recognizing how hard I'm pressing right now, just kind of rubbing on the back and getting all the edges. I recognized how much ink I have on it because when I pull my first print, I need to make sure that all the other prints are going to be even better or just as good. So I'm going to make sure my hands are clean. I might have to go to the sink and wash them, but right now I feel like they're at least dry. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this, and you can see I already got this really messy on my desk from when I turned this over. So I'm going to grab this and fold this in half just so I can keep everything clean. And I'm going to pull this off. And set this aside. Now, this is wet. We don't touch it. We try not to smudge it or smear it. It's going to take an entire day to dry. Let's take a look at my print. I had a really good amount of ink. I can see all my details. It's very, very straight. I have no smudges or smears. So everything that I did this first print, I'm going to try to do every time because this print is perfect. It's so good. So I want to try to do that. If your print comes out too dark, then you use too much ink. And so you want to make sure the next print you use less ink. If your print is really, really light and you can't see your details, then you didn't use enough ink. So you want to make sure on your next print to use a little bit more ink. So any problems that you have in your first print, you want to make sure that your second and your third and your fourth print are getting better and better as you go. You're going to be turning in all of your prints, not just the best one. You're going to turn all of them in. And so this is your end product to start. There's one more step after this, and we'll wait until this is completely dry to teach you how to sign your name at the bottom.